everybody, and welcome to our first ever, take two, this is, first ever podcast, kitchen design podcast. And I'm Andy from Artisan Interiors here in Cardiff. I'm joined by my co-director, Danny.
Hello, guys. I'm here as well. If I can get a word in edgeways, I'll try.
Yeah, we need you to chip in, Dan. And we've got a very special guest who's joining us today on our first ever podcast. From Sheffield, Square Kitchens in Sheffield. His name is Ryan Fagan, and say hello, Ryan.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, right?
So on our first podcast, we're going to be talking about German kitchens today. So Ryan's going to tell us a bit about himself, how he got into the business, and he's going to share some of his favourite projects with us. And we're also going to try to answer some questions that a lot of people are asking about German kitchens. So that's the topic for today. So we're going to hand over to you, Ryan, and tell us a bit about yourself and about your company, Square Kitchens.
Yep. So kitchens 11 years ago. Fell into kitchens by accident, I suppose. Really, we before that, I was a director of a construction company. Before that, trained in architecture. Couldn't get finance in building industrial units with the recession, so looked towards doing something else. And my brother's a kitchen fitter, so approached my brother, working for other companies at the time. Said, "Look, do you fancy starting a business in kitchens?" You know, I saw the bright lights of, it seems like there's some money in that game. Back then, I realised, it's not all. There's a lot of overheads in this game as well. So we started out with no intention of having a showroom. Going out there, advertising, very much just on the road based. And then 14 months later, in the May of 2011, we got us first bit of showroom, and it were 2 displays, English displays. His ethics was always to sell a good quality product at a cheaper price, to try and undercut the competition. Always had those same ethics right from the start. That's basically us. Started fitting for about a year to start with before I started phasing out of it. So I understand that part of it quite well. And then just went from strength to strength, opened the showroom, did well, extended the showroom, went into another part of the building, went upstairs in the building, and then we, 18 months ago, got a higher end showroom in a really exclusive furniture store called Ponsford's, which has done really well, particularly with the fact that it's pretty much been in COVID for most of it, except the first 5 months, I suppose, of actually starting. And that was through the Christmas period. And now we've just bought a third showroom in Barnsley, which is going to be German kitchens again, and a contract showroom, because we are become a contracts partner for Nobilia, which is the world's largest custom kitchen cabinet manufacturer, all made to order, rigid built, named on kitchen. So yeah, that's basically us.
Did you find that bit of fitting experience helped you with
absolutely
having a showroom?
Yeah, I mean, one of the problems with this business is that fitters have always done it in the way that they've always done it. I had a big uphill battle with my brother to start with, because he was kind of very much of an opinion as that's how we do it. It's massively benefited me to bridge that gap, because to get into it and understand it and understand the hurdles that fitters are struggling with, and the way that they look at the job, and the way that they can become at times a little bit negative towards the companies that are supplying kitchens, and that kind of, bridging, seeing it from both sides has done as well. Understanding kitchens from a fitting point of view, massive impact into how you sell kitchens. Because as we know now, kitchens are a lot sold on information, not necessarily on a high level pressure kind of sale scenario. So it's sold on the basis of understanding the product and the way that it's fit. And to understand how it's fit has a massive impact onto how you would design a kitchen as well, because then you can know how you can push outside boundaries that you wouldn't necessarily be able to know if you didn't know how that piece of wood cut up, or they screwed together, or whether it was flush with the door or flush with the carcass. There's all those kind of things that you have to kind of understand, really, to successfully design.
Yeah, because I know me and Danny are both from fitting backgrounds. We've both been in kitchen fitting for many years. And I know we think quite differently from our designers, don't we, Danny? Just the way we assemble the kitchen in our heads, really. And we can see, how it goes together. And I don't know about you, but I think that for us, I think it was a big factor in us choosing German kitchens, wasn't it? That because we were fitters and we know that they are the best kitchens to fit.
We've got a trainee kitchen designer here at the moment, and it's something which we've already done, is taken her out to site on a fit from start to finish, so she can see, get a little bit of better understanding of how they go together. Because exactly like you said, I think once you know the limitations in your head, what can and can't be done, it makes a massive difference if you can fit a kitchen before you design it.
It's quite simple, even just little bits like, knowing whether that panel would cloak that door, just little bits like that once you understand it, you can then adapt it. And I think that's the comfort it gives you. When you understand kitchens, you can then go out of your comfort zone of going, that carcass screws to the side of that carcass, and know that works. How would I actually get it to work? And could we alter a corner post? And what would be the limitations of altering a corner post on site? They're the things that make, and what's the hurdles that if we are going to think about altering something, what else could it affect? Could it affect a corner carousel? Could it affect something else?
Does it have a knock-on effect?
Yeah. So that's a big key really in understanding it. I think it is massively important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just you build it in your head. I think as a fitter, you can design a kitchen without even using a software. Obviously, you need the software to show the customer. But from a fitting background, it's built in your head before you get it onto the screen, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's a key to try and stay different to other like big brands, your Wrens and your Wicks and people like that. Then people don't understand kitchens. They don't understand how they fit. They've never seen it. They never bridge that gap. So we've got to stand different, I think.
Yeah. I think they end up going on like a 2-week training course, and then they're qualified designers from any background. They've never been in, not necessarily been even in the building industry or anything. So, and there's a lot to understand with kitchen design. There's a lot to learn, and we're forever learning. So things change all the time. So, I think that it's very important to have some kind of background knowledge when you're doing high-end products, especially.
So I believe you actually used the same supplier as us, Ryan. So we're obviously Schüller and S01 is the two brands that we did, but we've just recently taken on Nobilia, which we know you deal with a lot. So how what are the difference between the three brands then?
So I'll tell you a bit of a story, just being quite open and honest about it. And obviously we've got to be careful in some way, but I'm being completely open about it. We took on Schüller originally when I think the first time I met you guys out in Germany. We took on Schüller, and at the time we were a bit worried about what Nobilia were doing, how they were growing, what their principles were. So we were extending the showroom upstairs, and we were like, well, we're going to put Nobilia in. And at the time, I just lost faith in what their intentions were, whether they was giving us exclusivity or not. So we just wanted a bit of security of thinking, right, we'll keep them on the toes, we'll put another brand in, give us an extended range. We did that, we sold a couple, and it basically, with the costings that ended up, it just basically went, we couldn't sell Schüller because there was a lot, there's a few slight differences, but then when Nobilia bought in their new pricing structure that made it a really strong brand to price, it separated the two brands by a decent percentage that made it difficult to kind of start looking to specify, because we know as time goes on, people are now requiring, it's the Aldi mentality, which is, I want the same quality, I just want to pay less for it. Very price conscious, maybe more willing to change things around more often because of fashions, because homes become more important. Also down to the fact that, budgets, how many times have you got a customer that's come along with a 20 grand budget, happy to spend it, and then build's gone on, and then before you know it, build's gone 15 grand over budget. And suddenly they're coming back to you and saying, my 20 grand budget, now I've only really got 5, but I could stretch to 10 or 12, and suddenly they're compromising on what could have been a decent kitchen to start with. And it's not down to the fact that they're trying to save money. It's down to the fact that needs must. They've ran out of money. They've lost money somewhere else. So, you know, it was a big thing for us to bring Schüller on at the time. In this showroom, because of where we are in Sheffield, not particularly exclusive, it didn't hold the price difference. But then when we opened another showroom up at a higher level, we went straight back to Schüller, knew the right product, Schüller Next 125, put it in there, and it's been successful for us in that showroom.
There is a base for all three brands, and they've all got their own.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially, we love Next 125 because it's a fantastic brand. Love the simplicity of it. It is on a certain budget.
We've also just took on an Italian brand called Mitton, which is like specification wise seems to be a different specification and would appear probably more to go specification wise into Next 125 in the fact that they've got coloured internals of carcasses, which step you into that more exclusive range. You can actually have carcasses not in chipboard, but in ply, so you can have your carcasses made in ply, and just a bigger range of finishes. You know, a lot more flair in what they do. Sits around just under, but around the Schüller price situation.
So I think you lead into one of the first questions that gets asked a lot, and that's: are German kitchens better than British kitchens?
Absolutely, my opinion, completely and utterly, absolutely. There is no negotiation on that whatsoever. The best single thing that we did for our business. I still remember that day when the German kitchen rep come in and asked us to become a dealer in Nobilia. And I would say it was the best and most successful thing that our business has gone through ever. You know, it just not just from like what people think they're getting, which they are getting, you know, the increase in quality, the better designs, the flair, and the fact that I always say with German kitchens is it's a different suite of materials is the biggest way of describing it. That because it's all manufactured in one place, you can have a worktop and a splashback and a kitchen door made in the same material, where that offering is just not around or is not in English kitchens. Because contrary to what people think of English kitchens, there is no manufacturers of English kitchens. You know, there are carcass manufacturers that then go and buy doors in, then go and buy worktops in, then go and buy handles in, and then put it together and say, this is our kitchen offering, if you like. And even some of the guys that, like your masterclass in places, they're buying doors in. They're spraying them, but they're buying doors in. They're not bringing in raw materials into their factories and outputting finished kitchens. That's not what English kitchen manufacturers do. And they won't cut splashbacks, worktops, breakfast bars, kitchen doors, all that kind of stuff into the same material. So yeah, are they better? Absolutely. Best thing I ever did for my business. And just from a remedials point of view, from a warranty point of view, from not having headaches that come back from jobs, it's just, we wouldn't be able to do the volume we did today without it.
Yeah, we always have to answer that question too quite often to clients. But for me, it's just I've been over to Germany, and of course we've been to the Schüller factory on multiple occasions. The manufacturing process there is you couldn't replicate that over here in the UK. I think we're perhaps 15 years behind the Germans. They sell us all this secondhand machinery that's just been totally decommissioned, and you know the manufacturing process is just phenomenal. But it's really difficult to pick clients up and take them over to Germany, you know, just to show them the manufacturing process. But it's completely different. They make a much better product.
I think for me, one of the biggest differences is that with a British, I mean, there are some fantastic British manufacturers out there that make some awesome kitchens, but they tend to be small, independent companies. The bigger a company gets in Britain, the more they feel like they've got to use cheaper materials to. So it's all about price. It's very much price-driven, British manufacturing, whereas German manufacturing is all about quality. So just because, Nobilia makes 3,500 kitchens a day, Schüller makes 600 kitchens a day, but they never change a material because it's cheaper. They'll only change to a better quality material if it's available because they know it's going to last. For me, it's the mentality of the two different countries in how they manufacture products. I think.
I describe that as being Germans are black and white. It's right or it's wrong. There is no negotiation. They do not sell you a 600 pull-out. They don't do it because they're not confident that they can get that 600 pull-out to live through a customer abusing it. You know, that's great. Does that not give you security that that's their principles? They don't do gloss worktops because they know they're not fit for purpose. They don't do vinyl wrap doors because they know they fall apart. And they just giggle at us because they go, oh, you're English? Yeah. You're still selling vinyl wrap doors? 15 years down the line after you realise that they started falling apart and you still continue to sell them to customers. Why?
Because it's cheap. It's a cheap way to make a door.
Yeah. But why would you want to give it? They just compute and go, but why would you want those problems? You know, to them, it's kind of, it's not even negotiable with them. Why? Why would you want those problems to come back and fight them later down the line?
But I think the Germans build kitchens to last, whereas there's a lot of like the budget suppliers, and without mentioning too many names, but there's, you know, all the entry level, what we call the entry level kitchens. They're designed for repeat business. So every 6 years, your kitchen's going to fail and you put a new one in, and the price replicates that. So if you could buy an entire kitchen for 5 or 6 grand and it lasts you 5-6 years, then you're on to a winner. So and that's the British mentality, is keep replacing it. With the Germans, let's keep it so in 10 years time it's going to still look as good as the day you put it in, and it's going to last you 20 years. So it's a completely different.
That kind of brings you on to there, is that the Germans' concept is they actually a high long-term rental in their country. So, but you rent a house without a kitchen, you buy a kitchen for that house that's a rental house, and then you take that kitchen with you when you move. You know, that they're not throwaway kitchens, they're kitchens. They are kitchens that last for 20 years, and they will take them when they go with them and have them refitted, because then that's why the ease of fit, they're going to last. They do these conversion packs to convert from a 2-bed flat to a 3-bed flat. So you can actually buy the products that would convert you from one to the other. It's a completely different way of kind of looking at what they do, but there's certainly not a throwaway mentality when it comes to kitchens.
But we seem to be, as well in Britain, we seem to be transfixed on it's going to be fitted kitchen and a fitted bedroom where everything, you close all the gaps between the units and the walls and the ceilings. And whereas German design is very much, it's freestanding, really. A German kitchen is almost, it's a freestanding kitchen. It is fixed to the wall, but you don't use ornate cornice, and it is a kitchen that you can just pick up and take to another property.
Yeah. And I can't think that anyone would accept that now. You know, anyone would think, well, how I'd refit this. You know, I have customers that come in and go, I want an extra couple of cabinets, but I'm not going to add cabinets into my current kitchen. I'm going to scrap my kitchen, throw it in bin and buy a whole new kitchen. Yeah. You know, great for us, you know, but because we're now doing a full kitchen, not a remedial job that we probably wouldn't want anyway. So, it's a different way of thinking, but it just gives you that comfort when you realise their mind is set to completely stop hassle from their perspective. You know, they don't want comebacks. They can't afford. You generate a door. I always say this to a customer. You generate a door that's a new door in the range, and suddenly it takes up within a year 20% of the sales in your kitchen. That means that suddenly you're doing 3,500 kitchens a day, which is actually more like 4,500 at minute where they stand at the moment. But 3,500 kitchens a day, suddenly 700 of those are in this new door. You get 3 years down the line under your no quibbles warranty that the Germans offer. You multiply 700 kitchens a day by 3 years worth of manufacturing, and then realise that they're all over the world. How do you put right these problems? You don't. Your company's bust. So this is why there's no negotiation on making sure that these are right in the first place.
Again, that's another big difference. Germans won't quibble over a warranty issue. We find, especially with Schüller, we've not dealt so much with Nobilia at the moment, but when we deal with Schüller, if there's an issue, it's an email. We send them an email, we'll tell them there's a problem, and it's sorted. They'll send a new part out. It takes a little bit longer because it's coming from Germany, but there's none of the quibbles that you get from British suppliers.
There's no small print issues.
You shouldn't have done this, and shouldn't have, there's no questions asked. It's just.
I mean, I've had it before with both manufacturers where we know that it's something that the customer's done. But the German manufacturers will send out the new parts, but send it out with a care and maintenance manual to say, look, issue this while we're doing it to your customer and let them know that they cannot do that again. And if they do that again, then we won't stand to the warranty of it because it wasn't a warranty issue in the first place, but we want to make sure that your customer's happy. So they'll stand to it when they know it's not their problem, but they just want to keep that customer informed and say, look, don't do that to it. And you won't have that problem again. It's tested to certain points, but you can't take it beyond that because you are going to run the risk of damaging it. The principles are great and they just look after us. They want us to run a successful business and they want us to believe in them, don't they? And if they don't back the warranty, we lose faith in them and then we don't want to sell them. So, yeah.
So another question that gets asked a lot, and I think we're going to put this right really because it is a bit of a fallacy, but why, a lot of people ask, why are German kitchens more expensive than British kitchens?
Danny can have that one first.
Yeah. Well, we know that they're much better build quality, but I don't think that German kitchens are more expensive than British ones. And at the end of the day, all British kitchens are manufactured using the parts from Europe. All the material comes from Europe. A lot of the product gets brought in from Europe. So by the time that they are finally put together and fitted, then if you're going for if you're moving out of the kitchen market, which is entry level kitchens, and you're going up a notch, I think we're very, very, very comparable with British high end British manufacturers' costs. So I don't think we are more expensive. I don't think German stuff is more expensive.
I agree with that, Dan. I mean, I always put it like this: we've got the full kitchen market from year to year. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So this is the full kitchen market. Are we saying that the Germans that take up the top, say, 60% of the market are more expensive than English kitchens, which will go down into the bottom 40? They're not more expensive. They just don't offer that kind of kitchen.
That kind of product.
So they don't offer that product. They don't offer that product that falls apart. They don't offer that product that's flat packed. They don't offer that unprincipled. We're not bothered about quality product. When we get that and we scrap that rubbish that's at the bottom end of German kitchens, and then we start looking at what we've got, that there is no difference in price. And in some brands,
I always tell our customers that if you're looking at cost over time, then a German kitchen is always cheaper than a British kitchen.
Yeah.
So even if you buy an entry level kitchen, you've got to buy 3 or 4 of those to last the same lifespan as one German kitchen.
It's washing machines. It's the same as washing machine, isn't it? Some people have a principle where they go, I'll spend 300 quid on a washing machine and then I will change it every 2 years.
Yeah.
And when it leaks, it's going to take £2,000 of the flooring with it. But it only costs me £300. Or do you go and spend £1,000 on a washing machine and know that it's going to last you 15 years? Exactly. I know where I'm at in what I do. In actual fact, we're not asking customers to spend £300, or let's put it in real kitchen terms, £6,000. We're not saying you need to spend for a quality German kitchen £24,000. What we're saying is that it's a percentage, sometimes a little bit more expensive. But that might mean that an English kitchen that the customer's got is £10,500. But we can put it in at £11,500 for a German kitchen. We're not asking them to pay double the price or 3 times the price like a washing machine. We're asking them just say, look, you don't want something that's going to last a hell of a lot longer, look nicer, put this resale on your property better. And it's just a little bit sometimes, not in all cases, but a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, we don't find we're much difference with we have many people coming in and they've had quotes from here and there, but we don't find that we're a million miles away from everybody. But we do offer a different service too. We offer our own unique service here, which is has a value to it as well. So that everything gets reflected in the cost of the kitchens.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you actually compared the contents of a German kitchen, so if you compared it with the materials they used, I think if you took all of that and put it into a British factory, I think they use exactly the same materials, the same hinges, same door boxes, same furniture board, and made it exactly the same way the Germans do. British kitchen would turn out a lot more expensive because of its German efficiency that allows them to make these fantastic quality products at a really affordable price. And again, it's also economy of scale. Nobilia are the biggest kitchen manufacturer in Europe, because they make so many kitchens, they can make them a lot more efficiently they're a lot better value for me.
I mean, I refer to Aldi all the time. You know, Aldi's got the best marketing brand ever because people still go today. Have you had that? Have you had them fillet steaks from Aldi? They're nice, you know.
Yeah.
Like, this is fantastic. What? Like, however many years on, people are still surprised. You know, like, have we not become completely and utterly comfortable with the fact that it's quality? It's really good quality, and in some places, better quality. But the reality of it is just like making 3,500 kitchens a day or making 200 kitchens a day, which I would expect is probably where English manufacturers are. By making that difference is they're making so much, you know, out of 200 kitchens, 200 kitchens a week in English manufacturing. By making those, they've got to make so much more profit on each kitchen to be able to operate what they've got, opposed to making 3,500. And Aldi make the least amount of money out of every single part that they sell through their supermarkets, but they have a system that means that it goes quick through the checkout, multiple checkouts, efficient ways of opening checkouts, shutting checkouts for when they've got busy times. They've got all of that nailed to the ground, so their efficiencies are there, which enables them to move it fast, sell it cheaper, and sell more products at a lesser markup than what anyone else does. And ultimately, they make more money. And that's the key to it, is like the volume is where they get the profit back from.
Yeah, and they're not brand led either, are they? So you're getting the same quality of product, but it's a name no one's ever heard of. So you're not paying for all their marketing.
Yeah, as long as it tastes nice, I don't care.
In fact, they use their own marketing, don't they? The fact that this is a brand no one's heard of, but it tastes just like this one.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very good at that, especially with the chocolate biscuits. I can agree with them.
Yeah.
They do taste good.
So what is the best German kitchen brand? I know this is it's a difficult one to answer because it's quite subjective, but in your opinion, let's take price out of it. Let's just, as a quality exercise, who would you say is the best German kitchen brand?
Do you know that the thing is, I'd find it really hard to answer that because I'm not educated enough on all the other brands. I have a perception of them, but the same as what a customer would have a perception of something. Do you know what I mean? Is that better? Does it make it better? Because let's flick it to cars. So is a Porsche better than an Audi? If you drove them, you could decide, couldn't you? If you've been involved in both brands, which I have, and owned both brands, then I could decide and I would give you an output of it. From a person stood outside of it and not really understanding or not seeing the factories of both and not seeing the way that the manufacturing is done on both and not seeing the service of both and everything, then the only way that you can value that is on cost, isn't it? But is that not how we value everything in brands? You see an handbag at £200 and then you see one at £1,000 and you think the one at £1,000 got to be better quality. Yeah,
I think, I don't know. Obviously, it's different for different people, but for me, I think it's hardwired in. I think if I see a product that's more expensive, I automatically think it's better. But I can shop on Amazon and see two exactly the same products and think, well, that one's a tenner more. It must be better. It's just I can't get it out of my brain. But I think. But I think if you do,
and Andy's our ideal customer.
Yeah. I mean, we only know about the products that we sell, really. But I do take a keen interest in other brands. I mean, Pog&Pol was always the German kitchen brand. They were the first company to ever make a fitted kitchen. But they failed. They've had a lot of problems recently, haven't they? And I think they've got bust a couple of times and taken over. And
so are they best? Are they the best? What? Because they were there? Well, surely they're the worst now. In a way, I'm not saying the quality of what they do, but a lot of factors have got to go into it. Security of brand, security, knowing that you're going to work with one of these suppliers, that they're going to be around. It's everything taken into account, isn't it?
I know a brand Yes, Simatic, again, no experience in their actual kitchens, but I do like the way that all of their dealerships, I mean, they're not actually a franchise, are they? But all their dealerships conform to a certain look. You know, they're very well branded. I think of all of the, when you look through brochures, I really like Leicht as a company. I think they're a very nice kitchen.
Do you like the fact that they take 19 weeks to get you a kitchen?
No.
No. That's why we don't sell Leicht.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When they can bring it down to 5-6 weeks lead time, then perhaps we'll consider. But yeah,
I'm thinking about a kitchen in 2023. Can we start planning it right now?
Yeah.
It's a very subjective thing. It's not really a question that you can answer, but it's a question that's asked a lot. But
I mean, for design, you've got to go back to Next 125 for quality, Germanic quality, and Italian-led design. There are only, in my opinion, really Simatic and Next 125 that give you that high-level design that are backed up by that quality sat behind it.
And
there are lots like Schüller, quality, not massive high-level design, is it? It's not a huge, it's the design bit, the wall and kitchens, the glass doors, the pocket door systems, they're all exclusive. The 50mm plinth, all exclusive. 125.
Yeah.
Well,
go on.
Yeah, not anymore because there is a 50mm plinth on the new system with Schüller. So that's we've got a full display on with a 50mm plinth with it in the Schüller range now too, which is really great. But I think that I agree with Next 125 as the company as a whole. Schüller are really really good, but the product it's just the luxury materials in the doors, the ceramic doors, glass doors, Fanex, all of the veneers they've gone to they've sourced some really good looking material for
the fact you can get
product.
worktops in the same finishes and things like that in
exactly
Sistemo, that gives you a step above lots of other brands that are out there, doesn't it? So
yeah, we did a complete
it's obviously it's owned by Schüller, but they really cherish that brand and they're very selective about who can sell it. It's a very much design-led product, and again, quality fantastic, second to none. So, who would you say are the cheapest German kitchen company?
It's so cheapest is very cheapest in monetary terms is not necessarily cheapest in quality terms. The fact that Nobilia are there or thereabouts, in monetary terms. Certainly not in quality, certainly not in backup, certainly not in service. So the reason they're there is simply because of volume. They've managed to achieve that volume to make less out of each kitchen, but still to ensure the quality materials, the quality service, the quality backup, the quality warranty is all still there. So I'd probably say getting there is Nobilia.
And it's not a very nice word, is it? Cheap. We don't like to use it. I don't use it in any of our marketing. In fact, I use it as a negative keyword for Google searches. We don't want to be associated with the word cheap. But when it comes to value for money and let's call it the lowest price, I think you're right. I don't think Nobilia can be beaten on price.
I put it to customers is my heart lies with Nobilia. I'm the biggest independent Nobilia dealer in country as of last year. My heart completely lies with Nobilia because I don't think for what you pay and what you get, there are any other competitors out there that can offer that to you as an end user, as a business like us and to an end user. For what you pay, for what you get, they are by far head and shoulders above any other manufacturer in the world. That's what I believe, because that's where the deal comes. That's where you walk into a BMW garage and you've got the same quality BMW in the Sheffield garage, but then you work out that you walk into Cardiff and they're selling you exactly the same car, but they've got a deal on it. They're taking £5,000 off it. You whip their hand off. It's the same car. It's the same quality. It's not lesser. It's not £5,000 worth of less 3 Series M Sport BMW. It's the same car out the same factory. It just happens to be cheaper. And that's what happens with Nobilia. For what you pay for what you get, it's not actually in tune with each other. You're getting too high a quality for the price that you're paying. And that's why it sells.
Okay, so again, another very open-ended question, but it's a question that appears a lot in searches online. But how much does a Nobilia kitchen cost?
So we have a display in our Ponsford showroom that we've actually gone through this scenario already. And the display is sat there in Targa steel in Schüller. And we've priced it up. We've got it all on the system, all drawn up, done. And that works out at there or thereabouts £20,000. But what we wanted to do is, for our way, when we can communicate with customers, to give them some lead in, because you need to know budgets out of people, which way are we going to push you. We need to know a budget so that we can steer them into the right brand for them. And it's amazing. Sometimes you get a small kitchen. Someone says, I've got £35,000 to spend. Or they get a big kitchen and say, I've got £7,000 to spend. So you need to open that budget scenario up. Now, with that display's in at £20,000. We then went and changed that display into what the nearest thing is, without going expensive, would be in Next 125. And we worked out that in Next 125 we'd be looking at about £27,000 for the same kind of setup. But in Nobilia, we were about at £15,500. So, to recap on that, we're looking at probably 15.5 to 20 to 27 is the same display across the same brands. I mean, there are some differences to that. You get, Nobilia and Schüller are quite close, but Next 125 has some set differences, different height plinths, internal colour carcass, colours, it has a few standout differences.
Like it has the better draw box and things like that. But essentially, so the same layout. So we're talking almost double for a Next 125.
Yeah, from a Nobilia, it's but it depends on. Next 125 is limitless then, because suddenly I flick that into a real ceramic door with ceramic worktops in from, and suddenly that 27 turned into 37 grand. It's then where you start to go up, when you start using the really designer parts and the really expensive.
You wouldn't design the same kitchen in the Next 125.
That's right. Yeah.
You were using Next 125. That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
What has been the most expensive kitchen that you guys have done at Square?
So, bearing in mind that we've not been in that upper level sector, we've always been in German kitchens for about 7 years now. So we've not been in that upper level sector. The most expensive kitchen we did last year, it was 69.1 as a supply price of the kitchen. It was half Next 125 and it was half Schüller actually in the same kitchen, just because they liked the Targa steel on the island and they wanted a glass door on the bank housings. That's. But we've got some pricing at the moment around the 70s and 80s, and it won't be far until we're breaking that £100,000 mark. But what we're about as a company is not about overcharging. The whole idea is we go up against the competition, and for like, we undercut the competition. So we're not greedy on margin. We obviously have to make money, and we do make money on percentages on these higher ones more than what we would on the lower ones. Of course we would. But yeah, we're not hungry to get into that sector, because we believe that we are a premium volume retailer.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much. We're at the same kind of level with our highest price kitchen, but they're exciting to work on, and they take a lot of work and effort to get them in and installed correctly with that kind of figure. But we work pretty much everywhere from the lower price brackets right the way up to the sky's the limit.
So have you got some favourite projects you want to share with us, Ryan? Yeah, I'll just show you one now, which is I'm just going to pick one, I think, to be honest with you, and show you this. We worked really hard on this kitchen to get it through, because it was a youngish couple who've got an astonishing house that they've created. I mean, this is a 2-bed bungalow in a really nice part of Sheffield, like one of the most exclusive parts of Sheffield. The couple are early 30s, and you ought to see the level of detail they've gone to on like the roof lights are 5 meters by 2.5 meters, and there's two of them that are on the there's two of these huge roof lights that are frameless and they've just got glass downstands in them and everything.
Wow.
But I particularly enjoyed like working on this design because we got a huge kitchen to deal with. You know, you can see the size
room. Really,
yeah. I mean, to give you an idea, this cabinet, which is your oven housing cabinet, that's a -3 height kitchen already. So that's a 2.3 meter high just to the top of the oven housing that I've got highlighted there. So then we've then got top boxes on top of it. So we're at 2.65 high. But yeah, I mean, it works really hard at this with this customer to get it to a point. Now, for me, going back through when we're talking about prices and brands, we settled on Nobilia in the end because it suited the budget. And even then we had to work quite hard to get through. And I quite enjoy working on these kind of jobs with a customer, you know, where the customer wants your kitchen. The budget doesn't necessarily mean that they can have it. And you've got to work hard together to achieve it. And there's this real sense of achievement at the end of it. This sold out with wine cooler, downdraft hob. It's got top of the range Siemens appliances, one with steam and other, you know, the studio line 5-year warranty on it, sink, cooker tap. This sold out to the customer at £23,000.
Wow.
Now, I don't know what you think about that, but to me, that doesn't look like a £23,000 kitchen.
No way. That is fantastic for that figure. That is just phenomenal.
Yeah. And it was exciting because we got it there. You know, this is in black anti-fingerprint technology on it. It's got the lighting built into the handrail. It's, you know, breakfast bar, but, you know, being clever with it. And we do a lot of this. 16 laminate worktops.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things that helps you get the budget down is using a laminate worktop, which a lot of people still recoil at the mention of the word laminate. But there's some fantastic laminate worktops on the market today, especially German laminates.
Yeah. Well, I truly believe that if we'd have put quartz onto this job, we'd have spoilt the job. If you look at the design, we've got the wood framing that goes right round the sink area. So it goes up the sides, along the top, and along the laminate work surface, all in the same wood. We've got then an upstand that's at the back of it, which just comes up to protect the sink area. And then what's in behind there that's a mirror. So you can't really see it on this low quality render, but it's got a mirror in behind there. Yeah. So it gives you a real depth, almost like this is a window to the kitchen. So gives you a real depth to shine back. It doesn't make you feel like when you stood at your sink, you're going to be like claustrophobic, which is why we broke up this open shelved units that's there as well to take the mirror up the back of it. But yeah, I mean, if this island, for me, I always look at that and say, that's a block of concrete. What colour is a block of concrete? It's the same colour on the inside as it is on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, the top and the bottom. So if you're going to design a concrete kitchen, put a concrete worktop on it. Put the same colour finish on it, because that's what concrete would be. And I truly believe that if we'd have put a different colour quartz worktop on that and then looked at the effect it would have had on the breakfast bar and everything, the design would have been lost.
Yeah. I think that laminate worktops are way too underrated when it comes to German design, but there's nothing like that with British design whatsoever. You can't buy that over here. And this is where people have the theory in their head for laminates being bad.
I think when you mention laminates, people do think of their granny's worktops that are worn out. The print was worn off.
Yeah, but going on to that, Andy, though, right? Going on to that, right? We go into a kitchen. Measuring a kitchen up. Yeah, okay. So what we're looking at worktops. And the customers so often say, oh, no, we're going to have granite this time, or quartz, or solid work surface. We want something that's going to really last this time. And I look down at the worktops and go, how long's this kitchen been in? Yeah. And they'll go, I think it's 30 years, because we've been in house since we were in it. 30 years. Right, okay. And your laminate worktops, right, are they worn out? And they go, well, no. And I went, what? So next time you want something that's going to last a bit longer. I'm like, I don't get it. You know, laminate wears really, really well. And yeah, you take them after 30, 40 years sometimes, and they might have worn through on that patch that you use all the time. But Christ, these things cost £200. You know, in equivalent, what did you expect from them? You know, and the fact that they cost so little, if they did wear out after 15, 20 years, which most people would change a kitchen these days anyway, because times have changed, then change your work surfaces. You know,
I think if you look at a quartz or a granite worktop that's been in 5 or 10 years, it looks a lot worse than a laminate one would. There'll be chips around the sink. There'll be chips on the edges. There'll be.
That's a big thing with quartz. Misconception that it's bomb-proof means that actually people damage it more. Because they think they can do anything with it. Where if you've got laminate worktop, they don't go, oh, I'll do that to it, or chuck that on it, or they take a little bit more care. So I tend to see that the laminate work surfaces last longer because the care that's taken.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Absolutely. And again, it makes so much difference to the budget. I mean, you'd have been talking, you'd have added probably another 4 or 5 grand onto this job if it was in quartz with Decton. A good quality quartz with Decton.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't have sold.
No,
and what the customer would have done is gone and bought a Howden's or a Wicks or a Wren kitchen to get it in at £23,000 with a quartz top and end up having, in their perception, a harder wearing, more premium quartz top that would have probably been a very cheap version of it. And then an absolute pile of junk kitchen that would have not suited this display. You know, what they've ended up with is something that will last them for 20 years and stand the test of time and look a million miles different to how the kitchen would have ever looked if it had been like a lower end entry level kitchen.
What was your client's brief on this kitchen? What was the most important thing to them? Is it entertaining, or is it do they do a lot of cooking?
The problem is it was quite open, really. It's a huge space, so when you actually look at it, the brief is almost like to make good of the space. They do entertain. They're a young couple. They've actually got a baby on the way, actually. It is, and that comes with this kitchen will be going in and the baby will be arriving, I'm guessing, within a month or so when it actually lands. So, it was about making a kitchen statement in here that is capable of sitting in this room. And when you realise that what they've done to the glass roofs and things like that, and the fact that this window there that looks like it's looking out onto somewhere in St Ives or something, but that runs right through to the hallway on an open plan staircase. It needed something in here that would not look inferior to the space that it sat within. That was, I think, the main brief. And then obviously there's the shopping list, you know, the wine cooler that seems to arrive on everyone's early shopping list these days.
Especially after lockdown, everybody wants somewhere to store more alcohol.
Have you thought about the house? The wine doesn't stay in the house long enough to chill.
Have you thought about appliances? Yeah, I want a wine cooler. No, like ovens. How do you cook your food?
It's on everybody.
I think, you've done a fantastic job there, Ryan. I think it looks great. The colours are amazing. I really think it really fills that space because it is that's the thing with a big room. You've got to fill the space, but you can't go overboard because obviously the more units you put in, the price goes up. But I think you've done a good job of filling the space there and keeping to the budget. I think it was great.
Yeah, we drew one. In fact, just bear with me a little bit, just to see what this. So this one's the one that we designed only yesterday, and the customer just like, yeah, we're having it. Stay done. I didn't expect it to look anything like that.
Wow.
But this is just a huge space. It's a huge space. And the biggest hurdle I've got is when you've got a 7.5 metre wall on this back end, and the customer's criteria was that she wanted the kitchen coming round the kitchen sink, along the back wall, and then into this area where the American fridge freezer was. And unfortunately, to run a kitchen round and not break it up at any point would have just looked daft. So the main criteria was to try and break off an area that we could actually split the kitchen. So if you look there, we've got plastered bulkheads. So we've created a separation in not only in the cabinetry, but also in the colours.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, that kitchen there, Nobilia, supply, it's got everything on it, built-in underlighting into it. We've got, in this area, we've got like breakfast station and coffee station all built in. So we built all these, which will be getting built up on site. So that we're creating like a bar and a coffee station, breakfast station, everything all in there. That's a 30 grand kitchen.
Mm.
A lot for that money. So a lot of product there. That's really good.
So how have you done those breakfast stations?
So all we do with those, Andy, is we basically buy 2 doors there. So these are just on normal hinges.
Yeah.
We then create a 1,200 or 1,000, however wide they are, draw pack at the bottom. Put a worktop on inside. The 2 panels left and right of it go right to floor, and then we create then some panels sat on the inside, set back by the 22mm door line to hold the hinges, which, as you can see is this panel here that I'm showing there, back panel on it, and then a couple of shelves with lights in them.
Yeah.
So top panel, obviously, all screwed together. So basically, draw pack, top panel up here, tall panels going all the way up back side, another panel inside there, another panel inside there, back panel, then just put your doors swinging on outside of it.
That worktop is set back to those inside panels.
That's it, yeah. So just set back. That's it, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So a bit fiddly on site.
One thing that we do get asked for a lot, I don't know about you, but is the whole sort of the breakfast station, the pantry, the butler's pantry, which is not, Germans just, that they don't do it. It's a very British thing, but we do get asked to incorporate it into our kitchens quite a lot. So
we find that when people are asking for that satisfies. We build lots of those in. They're just a pain to fit, because the Germans, I'm not saying they're not set up for doing it. They can set up for doing anything, but the whole idea is it's drop and drag of a box, and it's pre-manufactured, and it comes, and it's, they move their kitchens around, as we said earlier. So they're not, their belief is not to bespoke everything, but they give the ability that we need to be able to bespoke lots of things. And once you understand kitchens, and what we were saying earlier again, is when you understand how they fit, this kind of thing's a nothing job to do. It's a couple of doors and panels and everything, and just build it up on site.
We've done pretty much exactly the same setup. We've done it exactly the same.
I think another thing is, from a fitter's point of view, is, I've fitted cheap kitchens and I've fitted expensive kitchens, and I think that the cheap entry level British kitchen is, there's one size panel. It doesn't, it turns up on site and the fitter's got to cut it. The trouble is, every time you cut a panel, as you're introducing a surface which water or moisture can get into. Whereas, when we design our German kitchens, we like to make sure that the panels are the right size when they turn up to site, so they don't have to be cut. And that's another huge advantage with the German kitchen over British.
Yeah,
it takes a bit more planning. It's harder for a designer. From a designer's point of view, it's harder to spec, but it makes such a difference, I think.
And it's a much more ethical way to do things, because there's a lot less waste. So from British kitchens, they send lots of surplus material for you to cut and throw the rest in the skip. But with a German kitchen, literally the only thing that goes in it doesn't even go in the skip, is the recyclable packaging. So we do a recycle charge for that, and that all gets taken away ethically.
Yeah. That looks, again, the colours work really well there. I think that dark concrete goes with that wood superb.
Yeah, it does. We've got a display on it upstairs. It looks, and maybe even on the renders, it looks a different. On the renders, it looks a different level again, because you introduce the lighting into it. And everything. But it really works. That's the Havana oak. It works really well with the slate grey concrete and the also the stone art as well. It really does. It sets it off.
And of course, the ever important wine cooler in this one too.
I up there on people's expectations these days. I can't believe how early they come into the conversations. Wine cooler, all time. We haven't talked ovens yet.
Right.
So
it's right. If you can get them, we've had so much trouble getting wine coolers.
Where do you get them from?
So we've used AEG wine coolers, but there's Junavox There's a couple of different just wine cooler companies, Liebherr, but where they specialize in refrigeration, Liebherr, we've been pretty lucky with most of their products we're able to get our hands on. It's just if they wanted an ice making drawer, that model freezer has been a bit of a pain to get hold of, but they're a lot of the products are getting through on time now, so we're very fortunate with that.
So I mean that kind of brings you into like appliances, really. I mean we've changed our policy as a company where we now buy all our appliances at source, ordered on the day the customer orders the kitchen. So we just order them, that's it. But we're currently stood on about 180 appliances in stock because we bought an excess of stock of the appliances that we use as a base, So the base refrigerator, the base ovens that we use across all 2 or 3 brands, just to ensure that we can operate. These wine coolers that we buy these in from CDA. I've been buying them in at 10 a time. And just stocking them, using them, and when we get down to 5, I buy another 10.
So that's where they've all gone then.
Yeah. Well, we couldn't buy any.
Yeah. I mean, I use this one here, which is the 600i one, which is the one that fits in a under oven housing base. So we just put an oven housing base in, and it just fits in. It's it's the exact same size as a
does that need
oven.
What ventilation does that need?
The wine cooler.
Yeah.
It vents out the bottom.
Okay, so you just have a gap above your plinth.
Yeah, so a gap above the plinth. Now, you've got to be careful with this wine cooler. If you fit it on a handled kitchen and don't have a ventilation space between the worktop and it, you can have a problem with it. The beauty on a handleless kitchen is because you're already pushed down 50 mil with handle rail, and also then you've got the small filler in above it. This is a way of building in a wine cooler into an island that's fitted where the plinth runs round, the handle rail runs round, and it looks the business, where obviously others would be panel either side, wine cooler in the middle, and you're chucking yourself off your modules. So how do you deal with the other side of the island? Because it's a 600 wine cooler with 2 end panels at 16 mil end panel. So suddenly the other side of the island's 16 mil bigger. This is just a way of building it in without having any of those implications.
That's really good. Yeah. And that's the CDA model, you said?
Yeah. They do a 460i one and they do a 600i one.
Yeah, we can look into that because we do supply CDA appliances as well. We've got a couple of CDA wine coolers we've used. They seem to be pretty good. So, it's something which we'll look at ourselves.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for sharing those with us, Ryan, and thanks for joining us today on our first ever video podcast. I'm sure
it's been good.
Many more, and hopefully they'll be a bit more polished as they go, but I think we did a good job of it.
I think we did all right.
Bad.
Yeah, not too bad. We did all right.
Not too shabby at all.
We just need some subscribers now, someone to watch them. But so if you've enjoyed the podcast today, hit like and subscribe. That will really help us out on YouTube. We're also going to be releasing the audio onto audio podcasts. So hopefully you'll join us again next week. We've got we're actually chatting to Katie Stone next week from Constantino. So we're going to talk all about solid surface worktops, even though we've just persuaded everyone to have laminate. We're going to be talking all about.
It's interesting to hear the arguments. In fact, at some point in the 10th or the 15th podcast, we ought to get Katie Stone and me, and we'll have the debate.
Worktop one.
We'd be lockdown will be over by then, and maybe we could get you in the same room with a pair of boxing gloves.
That's a good question.
I'd put my money on Katie.
Yeah.
With the boxing gloves on. She's feisty.
So till next time we see you, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Take care. Yeah, brilliant.